Okay guys, I am just doing this quick video. I'm gonna try to do it as quick as possible when showing how to use the R-Cat tool. So it's pretty simple once you get it. So to figure out if your rhythm is regular or irregular, you want to make sure your R to R waves actually measure out as close as possible. So with the R-Cat tool down here, it actually tells you like match R to R intervals, measure heart rate, start here. And there's no real like, sometimes you can just eyeball it and say, oh yeah, these R to R's match out. But to use this tool, you'll actually line up your first R to R with this line here. But if you line it up on the second one or something like that, it should still be fine. And as you see, I'm trying to do this like with one hand. So we see how that first one kind of lines up here. And then when you move it over, it still lines up between the 43 and this little dash here. I don't know what that actual number means, so sorry. If I go over again, you see it all measures out. So that tells me that my rhythm is actually regular because my R to R's measure out. This red line in the middle is actually your baseline. So you pretty much will put this to see this is your baseline, and pretty much this lets you know if you go over like that, it's to see if you have any ST deviation. So if it's elevated or anything like that, then this red line is supposed to help you interpret that easily. The other thing about the R-Cat tool is on the other side is your measurements. Now, granted, when we measure each small box, let me see if I could do this. Each small box is technically worth 0.04 seconds. So you have 0.4, but you also have I'm sorry, you have 0.04 and then 0.06. That's because it takes into account like a half a box or something like that. But I don't even stress about that because some of the stuff is like subjective. But and then also we're not cardiologists. So anyway, these boxes up here are usually good for measuring like your PR intervals and your QRS intervals, your duration. So you have your P waves. Well, that's just to say, yeah, we have P wave here. But you're going to measure your PR interval and you're going to measure your QRS duration. And then if they say, hey, yeah, you want to measure your QT, you'll also have that. So because I know that the regular PR interval is 0.12 to 0.20, I always start at 0.12. And on this particular practice sheet, it actually has the arrow of what they want you to measure, and it's actually blown up down here. So whether let's see if I can do that. Okay, so I have my PR interval, which is measured from here to this Q wave here. But if I measure the bigger one, it won't come out right. So I do have to go up here to measure that. And I'm actually going to start here, right where that P wave starts. And as you can see, my PR interval is longer than 0.12. So I immediately go over to 0.16 instead of the 0.14 because I don't see any half boxes. So I'm just going to move that over to the start. Go back some. Go here. I have 0.16 there. That line there. Then I'm going to go over. So I'm right at 0.20. And so the other thing, if you don't use this R-Cat tool, if you measure your small boxes, let me see. small boxes. So you have like 1, 2, and 3, and 4, because you want to stop here. That actually gives you 0.16. But if I can see my small boxes clearly, I will just count that, which is how I got 0.16 here. But if the EKG strip is not like really clear, then I'll use this. And even if I get 0.16 or 0.20, it'll still be kind of accurate, because there's always a 1 to 2 box like type of deviation that it could be, as long as it's not like you know, super wide or anything like that. So that is the PR interval. And the thing to know about the PR interval, this can only be measured if you have a P wave present. If you don't have a P wave present, you cannot measure a PR interval. It will be considered unmeasurable. So for QRS duration, your QRS duration should be less than 0.12. So I know that if it's less than if it's supposed to be less than 0.12, I immediately go here. That's the beginning of my Q wave. I kind of go down. So that's my S wave here. And I get 0.1. Actually, no, I don't get 0.1. I can actually get the, goodness gracious, excuse me. So I see that I have my Q, actually, I'm sorry, here. And I see that kind of goes over. And I go down to 0.08. Sorry, I feel like I'm a little wiggly. Here. Here's the one box. So I got one box, which is kind of why I put this 0.08 there. Not one box, Lord have mercy, 2. So you measure your QRS from here to the end of your S wave, which is here, which is that second box there. So we have here, down, there's 2 boxes instead of 3. So we got 0.08. And with that, that gives us normal sinus rhythm. Now on this practice sheet, there is no measuring of your QT intervals or anything like that. But in the event, like say you do have to measure a QT interval, these wider boxes are for like your QTs. And that's literally measuring from like here all the way to the end of the QT, which I don't usually use this to measure a QT interval. I never really have to do it, but yep, but that's how you would use the R-Cat. All right, hope this helps.